Of all the tough decisions in life, choosing between the job you need and the family you love should not be one of them. If we make the tough decisions now, we will be 1 year ahead of 80% of the states in the race to economic growth. If we fail to act, we will fall even further behind. By going first, we can become first. As our leaders in Washington confront tough decisions about our budget priorities, I urge them to continue federal funding for public broadcasting. Working together during the past 3 years, we have confounded the skeptics and the cynics. We've shown that here in Virginia, Democrats and Republicans can come together, put politics aside, and make tough decisions when times demand it. Tough decisions have to be made to close our fiscal gap, stabilize our debt, and restore our state-owned enterprises to health. My goal was to do the best job I could in governing the state of Wisconsin, in some cases making very tough decisions to have to bring our spending in line with the resources we had at the state level. One of the things I learned at the Naval Academy and the Marine Corps is we have to make tough decisions. People are yearning for a politics that tells it straight, that being in government is difficult, that there are tough decisions that we have to make sometimes. In sports and in business, the greatest leaders are those who make the best decisions in the most crucial of situations. They are the ones who focus their energy on turning tough decisions into winning decisions. I've seen Coach Saban over the years have to make a lot of tough decisions, and there's not one decision he doesn't make that he doesn't bounce ideas off the staff. To me, that's invaluable. You've got to do what's right, or what you think is right, and you've got to make tough decisions, and you've got to be willing to take on your friends when you disagree with them. In an effort to devote more time, energy, and focus to fewer projects, I've had to make some tough decisions, and one such decision was retiring from Speakeasy. We're on the verge of a financial collapse unless we balance the budget, and that means some really tough decisions. As a legislator, I was elected to make the tough decisions and produce solutions to the problems facing our country. Nobody wants to get into controversies, especially in the film industry. I do not wish to be a controversial girl, but sometimes you have to take tough decisions that might eventually help your career. I have voted to make tough decisions in budgetary times. I've served on 2 recessionary budgets. My opponent has never served on a budget committee where there was less money to spend than the year before. I think that's what we like to explore and see on TV these days, especially in long form, is complicated people who have to make tough decisions. I'm up for challenges. I'm up for being outside the box, making tough decisions and challenges. And I'm a little bit of an adrenaline junkie. Being hip, being popular, being cool, that's really easy, until you have to make tough decisions. And when you have to make tough decisions, that veneer of coolness comes off real quick. If the Senate can't perform its most basic responsibilities, I worry about how we're going to make the tough decisions and do the hard work that will be necessary to get our country on a path to fiscal solvency. If we don't make tough decisions today, our children are going to have to make much tougher decisions tomorrow. When it comes to making tough decisions, I'm ready to make them. I've often heard the complaint from both Democrat and Republican voters alike that they hate the fact that politicians get into office and they're fearful. They're fearful to make tough decisions because they think more about the next election than they do about the next generation. I realize that sometimes you have to make tough decisions and football doesn't wait for people. If we do not make tough decisions now, future Americans will have to make even tougher ones. The New Zealand sense of humor is tough and realistic. Jokes are not surreal, they are about life and death and tough decisions. I have made the tough decisions, always with an eye toward the bottom line. Perhaps it's time America was run like a business. I believe the best type of mayor is one who seeks to uplift people and make their quality of life better, and sometimes that requires tough decisions. You win by working hard, making tough decisions and building coalitions. Women oftentimes are the ones making those economic decisions, sitting around the kitchen table and trying to figure out how to pay for rising gas prices or food prices or the health insurance costs. And I think that they see where they expect their leaders in Congress to also make those tough decisions. I understand everybody in this country doesn't agree with the decisions I've made, and I made some tough decisions, but people know where I stand. You can make tough decisions that I believe voters for years have asked us to do. Sometimes when you are a professional footballer, you have to deal with tough decisions. The American people, in their own families, they understand that you have to do that. You have to make the tough decisions. You have to get your budget. You have got to put it in order. And they expect their elected officials and their leaders to do likewise. As we face tough decisions in Washington, we must never forget our responsibility to protect Medicare and preserve it for future generations. Clinton took very tough decisions on the economy. I think my greatest virtue is that I have the courage to take tough decisions. As for my greatest fault, I guess I should be a little tougher. The feedback I get always is that I am not as tough and demanding as I should be. Have a picture in mind of the kind of career you want, the kind of writer you want to be. This will help you make tough decisions when you reach crossroads, choosing an agent, deciding to accept deals. No country has left the EU since Greenland in 1985, and no one believes that delivering what the people voted for will be a walk in the park. So it's important that the person ultimately chosen by the party membership is tried and tested, capable of making tough decisions, and can lead a team negotiating with EU institutions. A little light on the RPG elements but heavy on action, Mass Effect 2 was the game that created a world of characters that I actually cared about. When it came down to making those tough decisions during the final mission, I actually had to put the controller down and think about my choices. Government should make tough decisions in the larger national interests, even if it upsets the people. Governing is about making tough decisions, but it's also about figuring out a better way to do things. You've got to make tough decisions, sometimes unpopular decisions. Whatever it is, if it's the right move at the right time, you've got to be also willing to make mistakes. It's part of, I guess, one of the harder parts about coaching is you have to make some tough decisions. Strong managers who make tough decisions to cut jobs provide the only true job security in today's world. Weak managers are the problem. Weak managers destroy jobs. Sometimes you have to make tough decisions to hold the line on spending. The country needs someone with experience and determination to make tough decisions. All the money aside, it is important that Greece restore its reputation. I like to push characters to extremes so they have to make really tough decisions, and there is no life more extreme than that of an athlete. Often when I'm trying to make tough decisions, I rely on the lessons my father taught me and ask myself, what would Tony say? Tough decisions are never popular to make and even less popular to force upon the UN. Visit our website for more quotes, quoting.com.